And let's just open it up for questions first. And I think Joseph and Abby both were asking about some things. So Joe, do you want to go first?
Oh yeah. So how are labs gonna work for now? Like when are the quizzes are gonna be on Blackboard?
Okay, so if you refer to the where did I put my syllabus? The schedule for the lab and for the course. I just had it. Where did I do with it? I amended that, right? You guys have that somewhere? What did I do with it? Anyway, this week we are scheduled to do the blood chapter and lecture, and in lab we were scheduled to do the muscle exercises, and I forget the numbers. So I can go to Blackboard here if you want, and probably show you that. Maybe, maybe not. Let's see. Do you all see the Blackboard page?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, updated lecture and lab schedule. So you should print this off, right? So here we are this week, and so on and so forth. Oh, wait a minute, we're here, sorry. Blood. In lab, we are scheduled to look at these 5 exercises, starting with 19 through 23. Now, obviously, since we're not meeting on Monday and Wednesday, like we used to do from 9 to 11:45, I'm just giving you the week. I'm not breaking down the Monday lab and the Wednesday lab because I think we're all kind of in it together at this point. So between now and Friday, or now and next Monday, this is your assignment, is to start looking at these 5 exercises that relate to skeletal muscle structure, which is going to be all review. And then we get into specific muscle groups of different parts of the body. So what I did was, in the Blackboard course shell, and by the way, there's going to be a quiz on these exercises next Monday, the 20th. Okay, just like we've said before, the quizzes will be over the material preceding the quiz, right? So that following Monday, the 27th, we've got a quiz over 45 and 46. Is everybody clear with that? So nothing new in terms of how that's going to pan out.
So the first quiz is on what exercises? Because I can't see it on there.
You don't see anything on your screen?
I see the course, where it says the master course syllabus, Zoom meetings,
Oh,
and then the updated.
you don't have the actual syllabus in front of you there?
No, my laptop is not
No,
able to connect to the internet, so.
Does everybody else see the lecture and lab schedule?
No, it's like frozen on that content page.
Oh, all right. Let me. So you're on. Is the page moving now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So I clicked on this, and is it coming up anything? Word? No.
No, word isn't coming up.
Yeah.
Oh, that's weird. I don't know what's going on. Well, if you go to this Word document, okay, you see my cursor going around and around?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. So that's what you should have printed out weeks ago. I put this on here a long time ago. Okay, So print that off, look at it. It tells you what we're doing in lab by week and what we're doing in lecture by week, each week for the duration of the semester. I don't know why it's not appearing when I click on it. Seems like it should, but it's not. That's weird.
So to get this straight, we're reviewing the labs this week, and then we're gonna have the first quiz next Monday.
All right, hang on. Let me try something else here. Now we're not sharing, right? Let's go
Yep.
back. Let's try if we can. What do you see now?
Now I see it.
Okay. Okay, everybody sees it. Okay, thank you. So this is the lecture schedule for the rest of the semester. Here's the lab schedule for the rest of the semester. There's the updated points. Not that it's been changed a lot, but we did change a little bit. We reduced the lecture quiz points, right? And so just be aware of this document and print it off. All right, so in lecture this week, this is the gray highlighted area. We're doing the blood chapter. I've started to place in Blackboard some voiceover PowerPoints on chapter 14 that you should be beginning to start looking at. And we can talk more about that, a little bit later. In lab, here we are. Everybody see that in gray?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And these are the exercises associated with the skeletal muscle stuff. This first exercise 19 is going to basically review skeletal muscle structure, the muscle fiber. It's going to talk about the neuromuscular junction. In fact, there's some handouts from Blackboard that you should have printed off, right, back last January. And you can reference those handouts from Blackboard. Now, we would have ordinarily be spending time in lab looking at the leg model, the arm model, and the torso model to identify these various muscles of the body: head, neck, face, shoulder, arm, abdomen, and so forth. And I can pull that up, and you can take a look at it if you want, but let me see if I can do that. So we have to do, what do you see on your screen now?
The folders
Okay,
for the
great.
chapters and stuff.
So you see where it says stuff to bring to lab?
Yes.
Okay, great. I'm just not sure if you're seeing the same thing I am. Did it pull that up then?
No.
Didn't. Why does it do that?
Oh, and now it says example 1.
Yeah, I think it is all the
Okay, you see where it says stuff to copy and bring to lab each week?
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so you're familiar with this, right? You've looked at it before. You've gone here before to find stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's the beginning. Here's that exercise 19. That was the first of the, I think, 5 exercises listed for this week. And when you click on that, is it pulling up a Word document or not?
Yes.
Why is it doing it now and it didn't before? That's weird. Okay, so if we had the neuromuscular junction skeletal muscle fiber model, you'd be trying to identify these structures on the model and putting a number next to the structures, like we've done before with the skin and so on, right? Now, I have some videos posted in Blackboard, one in particular that goes through the very same model that you guys would have used. Okay, so the narrator, the biology teacher, goes through and points out these structures of the neuromuscular skeletal muscle fiber model for you. So you're going to watch that video, you're going to reference this handout, and you're going to be familiar with these different structures, most of which you've heard of before. Okay. Everybody okay with that?
Yep.
Okay. Then let me, do you see muscles of the head, neck, and face here?
Yes.
Okay, great. So here's exercise 20. Here's 21. Ignore these ones that are lighter in color. I've hidden those from you. You don't need to worry about those. So here's 20. Here's 21. Here's 22. Here's 23. You're going to see those listed in sequential order when you go to your face or your Blackboard course shell. You won't see these other ones hidden. Only I can see them. So let's just click on this first one, muscles of the head, neck, and face. Everybody see that pop up?
Yes.
Great, thank you. All right. So when you go to exercise 20 of the lab book, and I'm going to do that right now as we speak. If you have your lab book, pull it out, check out exercise 20. There you will see a rather short exercise, really. It's only about 4 pages long, I think. Muscles of the head and neck. And there's like 3 diagrams there. And what you would have, what you'd be doing in lab if you were doing that this week is you would be looking for these muscles that I've listed on the sheet here. Epicranius, which is really not, it's 2 muscles combined together. So you won't find the epicranius specifically, but you'll find the frontalis and the occipitalis, both of which together make up what's called the epicranius. So you'd look for the frontalis, you'd look for the occipitalis there in the figure 20.1 in the book. And very easy to find. You can look at your textbook and label those different muscles. Easy to find on the diagrams, and so on and so forth down the line. So you would identify these muscles from the sheet and locate them on the diagrams. We would also be using the models in lab, not just the diagrams in the lab book, but we'd also be looking at the torso model to see if we can find these various muscles. In the Blackboard course shell, I've also put some other YouTube videos where the biology instructor is going through the head and he or she is pointing out these various muscles on the model like you'd be doing. So what I would suggest you do as you go through these 4 or 5 exercises that look at different muscles of the body is maybe you print these out first, okay? Locate these muscles on the diagrams in your lab book, and then watch the video and see where they're located on the model that will be described by the biology teacher. You'll also notice I have listed here the actions of all of these different muscles for you, so you don't have to look them up. But I might ask you some questions related to what does this muscle do? What is its action? And if I were to do that, I would give you a multiple choice question. Okay, I'm not going to expect you to come up with the action or function of the muscle off the top of your head. You'll have a choice of answers if I were to ask you that question, that type of question. Focus primarily on the anatomy. Where are these muscles located? Don't blow off the action, okay? But spend more time in identifying the location of the muscle. So I think between, using these lists of muscles from the exercises in Blackboard, and they're all here, okay, exercises 21 through 23, and then reference the diagrams in the lab book and label those muscles that you find on the diagram that match the list. Spend some time with that first and then watch the videos. And I've broken it down. In fact, let me go to that part right away. Okay, do you see this folder in blue font? Are you guys seeing that or not?
Yes.
Okay, so that's this week. This is the title of the various exercises. We click on that. It's gonna pull up those different sheets I just mentioned to you. So I've actually posted them here too, just to make it a little bit easier, put everything in one spot for you. Okay, so those are the names of the various muscles and structures, in this case, of the cell model, the muscular fiber model. So this is a short little 10-minute video. Here's the muscles of the head, neck, and face. We just looked at that a moment ago. I just reposted it here, that same Word document. And here's a video that walks you through the same model that we would be using in lab, and so on and so forth for the other 3 exercises with corresponding videos that I spent time looking for the other day.
Cool.
So that's I guess the best way we can do this. It's not optimal. I'm not happy about it, but you know, you play the cards you're dealt, I guess, is all we can do.
I have a question.
Sure.
Can I access these from my phone? We have a problem with the internet here, but I have like unlimited data, and my like laptop won't connect to our internet here at all. So I'm trying to work on that to get that fixed. But I'm not going back over to Bradford, and my dad was going to give me my his laptop, but I'm not going back over because I don't work tonight.
Yeah. I would think you should be able to, Abby, make this on your phone. I mean, your screen's going to be awfully small, but
Okay.
I don't know why you wouldn't be able to if you have internet connection.
Are they YouTube videos mostly?
These are YouTube videos, yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Now, if you just go to YouTube and search neuromuscular model, you'll see this one, but you might see 5 others too. And the same goes for all of these other, you know, different muscles of the body videos. I tried to choose those that were short and sweet and pertained as best I could to the list of muscles that are on the lists. You'll notice, for example, this muscle diagram or video, it says watch through minute 3. Do you see that on your screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that means that after about 3 minutes, he will talk about muscles of the hand, which you're not going to have to worry about. Okay, so you don't need to watch this entire video. Just the first 3 minutes are the most important. So once in a blue moon, you might see me put some notation there. Not always, but sometimes. And that's probably why I'm putting it there, to save you time. And you know, why watch stuff you don't need to know about? Now, I'll also say there will be occasions when some of these narrators will talk about muscles that are not on your list. Obviously, you don't need to worry about them. But I can't excise those from the video. You're going to have to just ignore, you know, those particular muscles. But I think the videos do a good job covering the vast majority of muscles on those lists.
Misty just posted in the chat that you can get the videos on your phone.
You can.
That you can.
You can? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Does that make sense in terms of what to focus on for lab?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I lost it. Sorry.
Oh, that's right. It'll come back to you. I also put a little note here, and that is make sure you watch this animation, skeletal muscle contraction. And I placed it. Let me go back here to the stuff to bring to lab. There it is in green. That's the video.
Okay.
It's about 4 minutes long, and it's a really good synopsis. I think I probably told you guys to watch this when we were doing this in lecture, but take some time and just watch that video again if you haven't seen it. or watch it again even if you did see it, because it's good. It's a nice video. It'll talk a lot about, you know, the various structures of this skeletal muscle fiber. It'll talk about the endomesium and the epimysium. It'll talk about the neuromuscular junction. It'll get into the sliding filament theory, which you don't need to know for lab, but it doesn't hurt just to kind of review that a little bit. Okay. Any questions on lab stuff?
I don't think so. The
No,
quiz
but I
will just
do
be,
have a,
oh, go ahead.
nope, go ahead. You ask first.
The quiz will just be posted like in the lab workshop.
Okay, let's talk about the quiz. The quiz then is going to be over the exercises that we just spent some time talking about, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And what I thought I would do is I would post that in the course shell on Monday, a week from today, which is the 20th?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had written all this stuff down. Where did I put that syllabus? I think I was going to post it from, have the quiz available from noon to 5 on Monday, the 20th. Okay. And I will send an email out and a reminder to you guys about that. But if you want to write that down, you certainly can.
Alright.
So bio 2510 lab quiz. Oh, what number is this? I don't even know. Whatever it is. On Monday, April 20th. Yep.
Yep.
From noon to 5. And it'll be placed in the lecture course shell. I know we had talked about some advantages of putting them in the lab shell, but I think we decided, or maybe I just decided, mandated that we put it in the lecture, just because then it's there and everything's there.
I had a question about that extra credit paper.
Okay, before we talk about that, are we clear on the quiz? So 10-point quiz, I'll give you 10, 12 minutes to take the quiz, and you're going to be focusing on identification, and I could potentially put a screenshot of a model asking you to identify a particular muscle. So pay attention to those videos too, in addition to the diagrams in the lab book. I will also be giving you multiple choice questions for the quiz. So I'm not going to expect you to pull out Zygomaticus out of your brain or Latissimus dorsi. I'll have a choice for you with regard to anatomy and or actions.
Okay.
Okay, any questions on the quiz?
Is it gonna be on all day?
No, I said noon to 5.
Okay, sorry.
And I will send an email out again, but make note of it. Okay, so question on the extra credit, Abby.
So I saw that on the Facebook page about the Times New Roman 12-point font. Do you want it double spaced or do you want it like single spaced?
I would say double spaced.
Okay. And you said about 6 to 8 pages, right?
Excluding the cover sheet and the bibliography or list of works cited.
Okay.
So the list of works cited or bibliography, I'm not sure what they call it anymore in comp, should be the very last page of the paper. So don't put it at the bottom of your last, text page and spill off onto the last page. Give it its own page or pages at the very end.
Okay.
Is that what comp does or no?
Yeah.
And you should be using MLA or APA format for that.
On the syllabus, it says something about actually having like a physical source from the library. Can they all be online databases now? or-
Yeah, they can all be all online databases, yeah.
Okay.
How many of those do we have to have? Is there a certain number or?
You know, I'll be darned if I can find my syllabus. I have it here and I cannot find it. So if anybody has theirs, does it specify?
I want to
Here
say
it
it
is, I found it.
specified like 8 or something like that.
Says
Let me
5
look.
sources, and 4 of them can be electronic.
It says a minimum of 5 sources. And then it indicates no more than 4 electronic. Well, we said we could make them all electronic, so minimum of 5 sources.
Okay, I can't access my syllabus right now. Can someone tell me when that's due by chance?
Yeah, that is due on May 6th,
May 6th.
Wednesday, May 6th.
Is it like by midnight or by like the time class would have been?
Well, I have here 1:15, which is when we would have started class. So, I have no problem making that 5 p.m. if you want to do that.
Did you decide how we're going to submit it?
Yeah, I think what we're going to do is we're going to use Dropbox, I think it's called. And I'll tell you more about that when we get closer, like first of the month or so. Although I guess technically you could submit it anytime you wanted, couldn't you? So let me in the next week or two get the lowdown about Dropbox. I have some sense of it, but I got to go back and review it.
Okay,
You'll
just
be
make sure it's
submitting it
all in,
electronically.
just make sure it's all in one single document then, everything, the cover page and the works cited.
That's what I would try to do, yeah.
Okay.
And then any of the references that you use, maybe those would be dropped in separate documents. I'm not sure. I got to find that out. But you should include any sources you used. Again, check the syllabus. I'm looking for some evidence of sources used and making sure you're not plagiarizing. That's basically why I put that little clause in there. So I'll find out some more information about Dropbox and get back to you guys on that.
Sounds good.
Okay. Any other questions about the extra credit paper?
Nope.
Okay.
Oh, yes. If our topics that we have chosen, do you just want to know what they are ahead of time or?
Well, I think before you start researching, you should talk to me via email or Zoom about what your topic is.
Because I think I told you mine before this all happened.
Yeah.
So I was just wondering, is that okay if I keep writing that one?
I'm sure it is. I can't recall what it was.
The LVADs.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's fine. That's great.
Okay.
Yeah. And if you haven't talked to me about it or we haven't kind of agreed, if I haven't given you my okay to go ahead with it, you should talk to me about that. And there's several reasons for that. I don't want to have 3 people doing the same topic, and I might be able to steer you in the right direction with regard to good sources. And the other stipulation that I have made is that this topic needs to somehow correspond to this course. In other words, cover or pertain to one of the organ systems that we discussed this semester. So diabetes wouldn't be good. Brain cancer wouldn't be good. That's nervous system and endocrine. We're doing that second semester. Okay. Any other questions on the extra credit?
Nope.
Okay. So as we said earlier, if we reference the schedule, we're scheduled to look at the blood chapter this week and then begin the cardiovascular system next week. So you should be getting into chapter 14 now. And if we go to the content section, do you all see that? My shared screen?
Yes.
Okay. Here's chapter 14, blood. And I have done several voiceovers over the holiday. And I've also found some good YouTube videos that I thought were quite good that pertained to the blood chapter. This one obviously focuses on blood typing, which is covered at the very end of chapter 14. And we'll be talking more about that in lab, actually, when we do this in, I think, 2 weeks. We do the blood studies, not next week, but the following week. And then these last 2 videos are, or actually 3 videos, are basically voiceover PowerPoints done by other instructors that I thought were really quite good. Some of them are quite lengthy. By that I mean probably 30, 40 minutes. But I just tried to find something that I thought would be, useful and helpful in addition to the ones that I did. And I still have one more to do to wrap this chapter up, and I'll get that done before Wednesday. So that's kind of what I put together. My sense is that we should use these Zoom meetings to talk about and clarify questions you have. You can see it's already 2 o'clock and we haven't really even, lectured anything. And it's going to be kind of impossible for me to lecture through the entire chapters for the rest of the semester, like we would typically do had we had class. So I'm doing these voiceovers in an effort to kind of be sort of lecture-like in that sense. And you should be starting to read the chapter and starting to study this stuff. So we can use the Zoom meetings for questions or clarification or review. And I have no trouble lecturing over, any particular parts of these chapters that you would like me to, or if there's certain things that I think we really need to talk about together, then I might not do a voiceover. I might just use a Zoom meeting to talk about a certain topic or a set of topics. But the onus is going to be on you, to kind of watch these and start, reading the chapter. They pretty much go in chronological order, so it should be very easy for you to follow. So chapter 14 starts here and it works its way on down. I guess this is the second voiceover, so I got one more to do and then I'll be done with that chapter. Has anybody started to look at any of the voiceovers for 14 or
Yep.
started to read 14?
I read chapter 14.
Oh, you did?
Oh yeah, I read it today.
Wow.
I started it and I kept reading more interesting stuff and I couldn't stop reading it till I was done.
Well, good. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff in there. And certainly, we can talk about specific parts of that chapter. I suspect a lot of you haven't probably started to look at it yet, since we just starting our
No, not
back
yet.
from break. I guess I'll just say too, we've got basically 4 weeks and a day, and the semester is going to be over. So it's going to be here before we know it. And it's so easy, I've discovered over the years, for students when they come back from Easter break to sort of leave up on the gas a little bit or to lose steam, and that's just natural to kind of get to a point in the semester where you're just kind of exhausted. And then of course, with this online thing, and I think it's just exacerbating the whole process even more. But I guess just a little pep talk to try to encourage you to keep pushing. You've got, literally 4 more weeks and then you're done. So you got to give it your all these last few weeks. Start into the A&P chapters, and you got plenty of stuff to look at. I also posted yesterday, I think, or Saturday, a video that I came across, a YouTube video on the COVID-19, issue we're having today. Obviously, you can't escape it now. It's actually about an hour and 20 minutes long. You might not want to watch the whole thing, but it's done by 4 different faculty members from the University of California to San Diego. And I watched the first 45 minutes of it just before I met with you guys. And it's really, really excellent. And I would suggest, if you want to learn more about this, to watch that video. It's really good.
Sounds interesting.
It's been so hard to tell what's really going on with it because there's so much fake news, and this report saying one thing, this report saying something totally different.
Right. I completely understand that. I know how that goes. So many people try to argue with you. And like with working at the hospital, we get updates almost every hour through our email. And you'll have the right information and you're told to share it. And then people just are like, go after you. It's crazy. So I just try to stay out of it as much as I can.
Well, it is interesting, how 2 weeks ago there was no talk of using face masks, and now they're saying, it doesn't hurt to wear them.
Right.
So there are things that change week by week. And if you've been watching, Governor Cuomo has his daily news conference. Usually it's 11:30, 12 o'clock every day. And then, of course, the president usually has, the other day was at 1 o'clock, but typically it's like 6 or 5. It's an evolving process as the disease kind of progresses and they learn more about transmission and ways of, you've all heard of the lowering of the curve, capping up the curve. There's going to be changes that happen. It's just kind of the way it is. And you're right, Abby, that does, and Tiffany, it does add confusion sometimes, but it's not designed to, it's, designed to try to help mediate this process and the number of deaths and so on. But this video just does a great job talking about, where we think COVID-19, the virus that causes that, arose from. A lot of these are zoonotic diseases, meaning they start in other animals, like poultry and often swine. It can be any wild animal. And how some of these mutated forms can jump to humans. And that's what's happened with this particular coronavirus. And you might remember not too long ago, you've heard of, Ebola. Ebola is another one of those zoonotic diseases that jump from animals to humans. AIDS jumped from primates to humans about 70, 80 years ago. So it's just a really good video, and I would really encourage you to watch it. It's really excellent.
Sounds good.
Sit down, put the Fire Stick in your TV and go to Facebook or not Facebook, YouTube, and watch it with your folks. I mean, really, seriously, it's really good.
I've had my own little science experiment going on. My parents are I'm from Buffalo originally. My parents actually had it. My parents and my brother, and actually my whole family basically had it. And it's just interesting to watch. Like, they're better now, but out of quarantine and whatnot. But it's interesting to watch them hear like the symptoms based on their age and like how much it like affected everyone differently.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
How long did it take them to start feeling better?
So my two brothers had it, my mom and dad had it, and then I have a sister that was quarantined with them, but never had any symptoms at all. But they didn't test them because Erie County is so short on tests. They didn't test my sister because she didn't have symptoms. So my dad is 55, in really good health normally, but like, oh, he was down and out for like 2 weeks, like just finally started getting better. Like they considered sending him to the hospital, not even for respiratory, but like he was like nauseous and like dry heaving and just exhausted. And then like for my mom, she was like, oh, I think I have like a sinus thing going on. It's just the change of weather. And then they tested her and she was positive. And then my youngest brother is 16 and he had it, but like just kind of just didn't feel good. They tested him just because he didn't feel well and he had it. And then my older brother, he's 22. He, I mean, typically healthy, good shape. He actually had to go to immediate care because he was so short of breath. But they just sent him home and said, quarantine, you're going to be okay.
Yeah. Huh.
So it
And your
doesn't seem
sister
to.
was asymptomatic?
My sister is asymptomatic. They didn't even test her, so I guess they don't really know if she actually has it, but it's pretty much assumed.
And how old is your sister?
My sister's 18.
You know, and that's the real worry, these asymptomatic carriers. If we open up, you know, the economy like President Trump suggests, you know, he would just assume if you feel good, go to work. Well, yeah, but you may be infecting 3 other people. And when you watch this video, they talk about a particular value, epidemiologists call it, I forget what it's called, it's a certain name they give it to you. How many people generally infect other people? And for COVID-19,
Oh yeah, I did see a thing about that.
it's 3.5 or 2.5. In other words, each individual that transmits it, 2.5 or 3.5 other people are going to get it.
Yeah.
So it's got a very high value in terms of transmissibility.
Well, that's how they think my parents got it. So my parents own an auto repair shop, and the one technician that they have, his wife works at Absolute Care, and one of her coworkers' husbands were reported to have it. So the health department called them and had them check their temperature, et cetera, and they didn't have a temperature, so they were like, okay, carry on as normal, but if you get symptoms, just let us know. And then all of a sudden my parents had it. So they think that he was a carrier, their employer or employee was a carrier to them from his wife and the coworker.
Yeah.
But he never came down with symptoms after dealing with my parents every day at work.
Isn't that something?
Well, and I read a thing where your blood type also kind of plays a role in it too.
Oh, I haven't
Like-
heard that.
Yeah, they said that type O is less likely to have any symptoms, and type AB is like the higher risk of the symptoms and problems.
Well, I'll have to investigate that. That's the first I've heard of that. Very interesting.
That's a little reassuring.
It was like there's China.
Yeah, they're begging my dad to go and donate blood because he had it so bad to get like the antibodies from him.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
It'd be a very interesting research project for someone to figure out if like that plays a big factor in it, and if, you know, it's interesting.
It is, and,
Right.
and I'm sure if there's any validity to that, they are looking at that. No question.
Right.
I mean, you would be surprised at how much national, international cooperation is taking place as we speak. It's huge. And this video talks about that. It's really fascinating. I mean, this is all scary and everything, but if you look at the epidemiology of it, this is a perfect teaching moment, especially in microbiology, which I teach that course too. But for you guys too, I mean, to learn about this, you're living it. You know, it's really an interesting thing if you just look at it beyond the deaths, which are of course very sad.
Yeah.
Well, it was funny. I read a thing about how it attacks the RNA in the cell. And I'm like, oh, we just learned about that. That makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah, this particular coronavirus, they're RNA viruses, they're called. And again, the video will talk about that. Yeah, anyway, that's beyond the scope of this course, but You're going to be taking micro, a lot of you guys, so you'll be hearing about it again. And again, we can talk more about this if you'd like, but I don't want to dismiss the A&P end of things. How about any questions on the blood chapter that you want to bring up? And again, I know a lot of you haven't even looked at it probably yet, but you do need to stay on task here. Any questions?
I don't, not right now.
Okay. Well, you know, when we meet on Wednesday, if I were you, I would make a goal of trying to get through half the chapter. You know, be smart in terms of your time management. Try to get through half the chapter by Wednesday so that if you have questions you want to ask about, we can talk about that. And then get the next half done by the following Monday. You know what I'm saying? Try to be logical and mindful of your time. Because this is our opportunity to discuss and clarify and review these different topics.
Sounds good.
As I was looking at the syllabus here, we have our third exam even coming up actually next week. And I was going to talk to you about this on Wednesday, and I certainly can review that as well. But we do have exam 3 coming up the last half of next week. So again, check out the schedule.
That's on the 23rd, right?
Well, I have here 23rd or 24th.
Oh, okay.
We'll talk about exactly what time and or what day and what times that'll be available, you know,
Okay.
for you guys. The 23rd is probably a Thursday, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anything else you want to talk about?
I do have a question about like relating to the last chapter we did.
Sure.
I was looking back a little bit before class here. I was looking back at some of the inspiration and expiration stuff.
Yeah.
And can you explain like what happens when, you know, when like people say the air gets knocked out of you? Is that relating to that?
You know, I think we've all had that happen to us, usually due to some sort of a traumatic event. I can remember as a kid very clearly, I was probably 4, fell down a set of stairs. And I got the wind knocked out of me. And you know, have you all experienced this?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is, I can, again, only happened maybe 2 or 3 times in my life, but I remember how scared I was, where you couldn't catch a breath, right?
Yeah.
So I associate that you know, having the wind knocked out of you with some sort of a trauma, getting hit or falling down the stairs or whatever, and it's sort of impacting I would guess the nervous system and some of the neurons and nerves that are stimulating the diaphragm and external intercostals to contract to help bring air in. Somehow that trauma sort of sends a bit of a shock wave, if you will, to the nervous system. And things are kind of off kilter for what seems like a long time, but probably is only maybe 5 seconds, right? So Melissa, my guess is it's probably a neural impact to that. But that's just my hypothesis. I have not researched that, but I bet if you typed in, Googled it, what is the cause of having the wind knocked out of you, it's going to talk about some neural aspect of respiration, probably inspiration.
Okay, yeah, I kind of wondered if it was like something to do with the muscles or not. Like they talk about sometimes.
I think it's neural. I think it's neural, which is impacting muscle contraction.
Okay.
Now you got me wondering. I'm gonna go look at that up when we leave.
Okay.
Have you had that happen to you before?
I have, yeah.
Yeah. You never hear of anybody, like dying as a result of that. But if you had a very severe chest injury in let's say a car accident or something like that, all bets are off. But just a normal event, generally, the person regains their normal respiratory capabilities.
Yeah.
But I think you bring up a good point, and that is, yeah, we can talk about respiratory. We can talk about muscular system questions too. This doesn't have to be just on blood. I mean, it can be on anything you want. So, the floor is open for questions related to any of the chapters. It doesn't have to always be the one we're scheduled to do that week or whatever. Because the test next week is going to, be over muscular system, respiratory system. I can't remember if we put joints on exam 2 or not. I think we talked about that. And I can't remember. I got to go back and look that up. I'm thinking we didn't, but I don't remember for sure. Does anybody remember?
Joints wasn't on exam 2.
Wasn't.
No.
Yeah. So we're talking chapters 8, 9, 19, and 14. So 4 chapters. And the reason that I want to put blood on that next exam is because the last 2 chapters of the semester, cardiovascular and lymphatic, are both, cardiovascular is pretty long, and lymphatic is a little, it's one of the hardest organ systems to kind of really understand. So we're going to be spending some time going over immunity and T cell and B cell action. It's a little more challenging, let's just say.
I did have a question. What happens if, like you said about the 23rd or 4th or something like that, or 25th about our exam 3?
Mhm.
If I have to work one of those days during that time, what do I do?
Well, if we decide, let's say, to do the test on I'll just say the 24th, which is going to be a Friday, we can have that exam, be open from, I'll just pick a time, an ending time, a couple hours in between. And if that causes some issues, then you can let me know. I don't want to have to go through and accommodate 15 people for 15 different times. That's kind of crazy. But I know that some of you guys have other, things going on too.
Yeah, because I know that that might be, I think that's my weekend off, so I work that Friday because I'll be on the Saturday, Sunday, so I probably will be working 7 to 7 that Friday.
Oh.
But I could be wrong. I'll have to check the schedule again just to be sure, but if it is, do you just want me to email you? And
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And we'll kind of maybe, I'll give more thought to like what day, but I'm thinking at this point, probably that Friday, give you as much of that week to study as possible.
Okay.
But when we get together then on Wednesday, we'll nail down a time and a day, a time bracket, time frame, and you can put that on your calendars and such.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure. Other comments, questions?
I don't think so.
All right, well, I guess, you should start working on some of that lab stuff and start getting into chapter 14 on the blood. So you got certainly plenty of stuff to keep you busy for the next couple days. We'll continue to plan to meet to Zoom on Mondays and Wednesdays at 1:15. If for some reason you guys feel like you'd like to have an additional review time, and I can do that, and you know, I'm here for you. So if you would like to do a review for the exam, or you know, beyond the normal times that we meet, Mondays and Wednesdays, then fire me an email, and you know, we can certainly do that. Happy to do that. In other words, we're not really just restricted to these 2 times a week. Just FYI, I do meet with my micro students on Tuesday, Thursday from 1:15 to 2:30. So that block would be kind of, you know, occupied. But other than that, I got some open time too. All right. I feel like I'm leaving you guys hanging here, that I need to do something. Okay, well then I will talk to you guys Wednesday. In the meantime, write down questions. If something's not making sense, don't be afraid to ask. Bring it up Wednesday. All right.
All right.
Okay. Enjoy the rest of your day.
You
You
too.
as well.
Okay.
See you
ya.
Wednesday.
See you Wednesday.
Okay. Bye.
Bye.